actually, yeah, I really liked it. All right, so I'm gonna go from Corvette 488. All right, and this, I've purposely never pursued, you know, getting in a Ferrari before because I don't know, it doesn't seem like, I just don't want to know. I don't want to know what I'm missing. So this is a 488 Spider, and so Jim's gonna give us an overview of it here quickly, and then we're gonna take it down 129 here. Get a nice little run in. Here's the car. 488 Spider. We'll get them to go over the color and all that stuff. Our buttons here. All right.
Actually, I put off the brake, and then hit it once. That activates it. Just one time, and then put foot on the brake and hit it again.
Okay, and then you have your modes, right? Mm-hmm. You've been riding around in race?
Yeah, and it's fine. I mean,
so is there an indicator somewhere that tells us what to do?
Well,
oh, right there.
TFT would tell you.
So there's our indication, race, sport. And then what's all this? So that's our traction control stuff, or forward, reverse.
That's reverse. That allows you to toggle between manual shift and auto mode.
Okay, so if I go,
if you hit it once, it's gonna.
Now I'm in manual.
Now you're full manual. If you manual from the very start.
Right. Auto.
So it's just a toggle switch back.
And then this will control our speed of switching and suspension and all of that.
Yeah, right.
Oh, we got our suspension setting.
Right. Yeah, so that softens the suspension if you want it, which I've been doing it that way. It makes it more
okay, so there's regular and then soft, or sport and
yeah, it allows you to be in the race mode, so you've got the quicker response, you know, quicker shift.
The tack over there, so that for the passenger?
This is passenger display, right? So I can keep track of how fast you're going.
That's cool.
My wife insisted I have that so she could monitor me.
So how do I come out of park?
Just when you pull the right paddle, put it in gear.
This is my first go. I've never even sat in a Ferrari before. This is my very first experience. All right, so I'm in manual. I'm gonna pull.
Magnet first.
Okay, so what does hold mean?
That means that the brake holds on, and when you give it some throttle, it'll
go. Gotcha. We're gonna bring up the rear here so that I can take my time. Is there an axle lift on this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do we need it? I guess we probably won't need it here.
I've not encountered anything yet that I feel I need it on.
I don't even know what to say. And this is, I wonder, I've never taken a look at the dimension difference, but I wonder how much wider this is than my RS width-wise.
I know it's wider, I couldn't tell you how much.
Is there, are these carbon ceramics?
Yes. And they should be pretty well heated up by now.
So you've been driving around in auto?
No, I've been
yeah, manual.
Race mode in manual.
So I'm in sport mode right now. Oh my gosh, this is so easy. The steering difference, the feel, the turn-in is so much different than the Z06 I just drove. So much more response. Red line is 8,000 on this.
8,000, yeah. Although you don't really get there. It says 8,000.
We'll see.
That upset a lot of the first 488 buyers because they said this thing won't red line at 8,000. Why do you say it is?
Yeah, but you don't, right?
But it's got so much, you know, punch.
It's much more torque. So twin turbo V8. So twin turbo V8, and that's the big rub, is that this versus the the 458 being naturally aspirated, right? Now we have twin turbos, which makes it sound different, but it's weird. Is that open? Is that window open?
Yeah, it is
oh,
open.
okay.
I was like,
no, you're fine. But I'm like, it sounds like it sounds like we're windows open.
Hey, that's one thing I love about the Spider is that you can have the top up like it is now, but open the window and you still get all the sound.
This is awesome. Oh my gosh. This is bad news for Maddie here. For my...
You know, so Ferrari, you know, the way they described this car was, you're right, replacing the 458 naturally aspirated. A lot of concern about that.
Yeah.
So supposedly this turbo is designed such that you don't get all the torque, you know, immediately like you do with a lot of turbo cars, but
yep.
it's gear. It's based on the gear you're in. As you go higher in the gears, it's releasing more and more torque.
So how many miles do we have on this thing?
We should be around 2,000. I'm over 2,000.
So are you going to drive this? You're gonna drive it, put miles on it, and drive it.
Yeah, I'm not worried about having a garage clean. I want it to drive it.
So what happens to these when you do that? You know, I mean, do we lose $100,000?
No, you don't lose that much. I think people get over concerned about depreciation and having no miles on it. Yeah, when it comes to resale, if I've got
15 miles,
yeah, 15,000 miles on it, and you know, maybe other comparable cars have 10, 5, 10.
Yeah, you're gonna have to discount it.
Maybe a little bit, but not that much. It's not enough to, you know, to deprive yourself of the fun of, you know, driving.
So let's go race. Oh my gosh.
Isn't that awesome?
Oh lordy. This could be a nice compliment to an RS, right? Now, do you have any Porsche? Have you had Porsches in the past?
I haven't. No, I've not. You know, I will tell you. You know, I see the GT3 and I'm intrigued by that car.
Yeah.
And I might decide someday to give it to those.
It is very different than this.
So I know you love the PDK. So what do you think about this dual clutch?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, the Z06, that was an automatic, an auto Z. I mean, it's like shift, wait, okay, gear. Because you know, driving around here, I couldn't drive in an auto because it wouldn't. It kept, you know, it would lose herky-jerky because I would hit it and then it would wait to shift. You know, like, or I'd be in 4th gear and when I should have been in 2nd.
Well, did it have the 10-speed automatic?
No, that was the. I don't think what the traditional, it's 7 or 8, whatever. All right, I think I'm gonna pursue becoming a car reviewer. I figured there were too many car reviews. I guess I better learn how to be eloquent and speak to the specifications and.
You know, well, I'll give you some specs here. So 3.9 liter V8 dual turbo. 661 horsepower, 560 foot-pounds of torque.
It's so easy to drive, my goodness. Like I could just kick back and...
You know, unlike some turbos that, you know, they make their max torque like at maybe 2,000 RPM. This one, you know, again, they're trying to make it feel a little more naturally aspirated so it actually doesn't peak until...
I don't even... I thought I would hate this car because of the turbos. I don't even notice it. I mean, you notice a muted, you know, it's muted in comparison, but it sounds fantastic. I mean, there's the turbo there when we're, you know, at lower RPM, but oh my word. All right, you're gonna have a hard time getting me out of this seat. What do these things weigh? Are they like 3,600 pounds, 3,500?
It's I think this is about 3,400 pounds.
Yeah. It's right around GT3 weight.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a wide car, but I don't feel. I mean, I can tell, but I don't feel like I'm too wide.
Right. Well, you have such a good view of the road.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. You know, there's no question. The visibility in this is so much better than in the Z06 I just drove. The Z06, the problem I had was seeing out here. My head was touching the ceiling. Yeah. Yep. I like it. Shoot. So this is what, like 380?
The way this was spec'd, yeah, it was actually right on.
Yep.
Right around here.
These start at what, 310?
I think it was. Yeah, I think the current model is an 18-year in.
Non-spider. You know, a hard top.
A hard top is probably, it's less than 3. Hard top is
Okay.
maybe 270, 280.
But still, you can't just go buy one. So how the heck did you get one?
Well,
You had to pay for it?
I did the whole full Ferrari experience. I mean, I talked to my dealer, I got the allocation, I did the spec, and I waited.
But how did you get an allocation? I thought you can't just buy these things.
I had a California ticket.
Ah, okay. So you had to buy that in order to get.
If I hadn't had the California ticket, I'm sure I would not have got a Spider allocation. But,
how was that car?
I love that car. Maybe someday I'll let you drive that too, but I think you'd be surprised.
Oh, you still have it?
Oh yeah, I still have it.
What color is it?
It's Grigio Silverstone.
Because those cars get a bad rap. You know, when it says, California, yeah. Right.
That's people who haven't driven one, I gotta tell you.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have no experience.
It's the same engine as this car in terms of the DNA of the engine. It's also 3.9 V8 turbo.
Yeah.
This car is based on the same engine.
So what are the dynamic differences between, I mean, what do you feel?
Yeah, so the California T is not as abrupt as it is, not as responsive. It doesn't have as much power, but it's got 550 horsepower, so it's not underpowered by any means.
Yeah.
But it's just a little more G2, you know, it's more.
Steering feel is probably a little different.
It's good, but it's not as precise as this.
So let me switch to comfort. It's a pretty smooth road, so
yeah.
And we'll play with that later.
You can really tell a difference around town, you know.
Yeah. There we go. I can feel it. Yep. I feel every undulation in the road or every little. But it's not harsh at all. Like I expected this to be uncomfortable. I'm in full race, full suspension mode. I could sit in this all day. It's not even fair. I see Tony working his tail off in his M4. This would be just a piece of cake. I want to go back. I want to go out front. These guys are going too slow. Wow. That's 5th gear.
Yeah, the torque
5th gear, 8th throttle. So you have to buy a California, and then.
Well, I suspect that if I didn't have that, I wouldn't got the allocation. Now I also went to a couple of the Corsa Pilota driving sessions, and that also kind of, you know, they have this point system, so that helped also towards getting an allocation.
Did you have to pay over for it?
No. No, that's the cool thing about Ferrari. They don't. You never pay over MSRP.
The only way you pay over is if you bought it secondhand, right? Yeah.
Right.
See, that's the thing that Porsche's got messed up. I got a call yesterday for the RS, the new RS. I said, yeah, you can have it, but you're going to pay $50,000 over. They were going to give you market value for your car. I said, okay, great. You're going to give me a sticker? No. We got to make some money on it. I said, well, come on. I thought you just said all these cars are going for over. Yeah, hopefully they fix that.
I mean, Ferrari has a good model. I mean, what they're looking for is they don't want to just sell you this car. They want you to bring the car back. You know, when you have 5,000 miles on it, they want to sell it for you, and then expect the next one. And
so did you get this in Houston?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to be flying back to Houston now for your 498.
Well, there is a dealership in Raleigh, Greensboro. Foreign Car Italia. I mean, that's actually where I'm going next week for the first annual service for this one.
Yeah.
But when it comes to specing my next car, Ferrari has also kind of a way they control their dealerships. Is that you can't buy. I couldn't. When I lived in Houston, I could not come to Ferrari Italia in Greensboro and buy a car.
Yeah.
I'd have to get it from the Houston dealer.
Yikes.
But now that I bought a car from Houston, I don't have to live in Houston to get my next one if I want to go back to them.
I got you. So they have significant controls in place, unlike Porsche. Now, Porsche's volume is 25 times. You know, they're selling a lot more cars. This Ferrari doesn't have a Cayenne, you know.
Not yet.
Yeah, see, these roads aren't as... The in-between roads aren't as fun. Yeah, just steering, the feedback, I mean, it's really incredible. You know, they talk about these cars getting soft. There's nothing soft about this thing. I don't know what else to say. And we haven't even gotten on we haven't done anything. We've gone so slow. You just expect a Ferrari to be a pain in the butt. I don't know why. That's a common misconception, I think. Will you do any modifying, exhaust or anything, or?
You know, I don't have plans for that. But who knows? I mean, at some point I may decide it's time to do something with it.
Well, there's always a trade-off when you start messing with it. Then you have to deal with whatever that trade-off is, whether it's drone or too loud when you don't want it to be, or. We haven't gotten into it yet, so who knows? I mean, it sounds great. I mean, again, I expected the turbo to mute it too much, but no, it sounds great. Yeah, I mean, you could sit in here and you could drive to 5-hour drive. You know, put it in. You can put it in. So what's CT off? ESL. That's our traction control.
Yeah, it's got traction control off. And then
so what would you do? And what's the normal mode then? Driving wet mode? No.
No,
You're just in race or sport. So sport is your normal mode.
No, I really just leave it in race.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it says race. It sounds like it'd be super aggressive. It's not.
Yeah.
It's fine for most.
Where the heck is the turn signal? Oh, right here.
Yeah. That's. I forgot to mention that.
That's a little different.
Yeah.
That's way better.
You just hit them once to make them blank, or you press and hold if you just did a lane change.
All right. Forgot what to do already. Once.
Foot off the brake.
Off the brake.
Then
Once.
Now you make it
Okay. Once. Brake. Start. Reverse.
Yep.
Off. Never felt so foreign in my life. Now, how do we get back in? Paddles.
Right paddle. Just there you go.
You gotta learn some stuff on this thing.
Now, isn't the RS the same way? It's not. Okay.
It's pull the center stock. Now the RS will go, so we can go neutral, pulling paddles.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go neutral. The RS does that too, and then we go back to first, right? Yeah. So the RS, as soon as you release, it'll go back to first, or second, or third, or whatever the appropriate gear is.
Now this, I've never really tried this much, but when you're coming in the corner, if you just hold on the left paddle, it'll automatically downshift you
To whatever gear.
To the opposite gear to take you through the corner.
Oh yeah. How do I go back to manual?
Actually, if you just go to the paddle, it should take you right to manual.
Okay.
And the way you know is if you look at the indicator, auto will be off. It'll just be in the gear shift position, so you're in manual.
I love this, not yet, but the lower section of the Cherry Hollow is my favorite. So this is where we stay in the fall up here at the Snowbird Lodge. Yeah, the pedal feel on the brake is a lot different than the RS. I mean, I have a feeling you have to get into the brake.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pedal's got a lot of travel to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it stops, but you got to kind of
like if you just touch it, it's not doing much. But that torque, I mean, sixth gear will just pull us out of it. The RS isn't going to do that. You gotta be down in the lower gear.
If we get to a place where you can open it up, well, I'd be curious to see what you think. But that progressive torque curve, and you really feel it as you're going up through the gears. And when you go to third to fourth, when you can hit red line, it's like you just progressively feel it pushing back.
When we get up top here, the Cherry Hollow will let us do it. I gotta have this goofy looking smile on my face the whole time. It's the best idea I've ever had. Don't bring your car and goad other people in to let you drive them. But hopefully that's a slight testament to my reputation and that people trust me to do this, What about, have you noticed, what about traction on these? Like, did they break loose because the engine's out middle? I mean, you ever notice the rear end?
I've not noticed that. Now, I will say I've not, driven it probably hard enough to really, I've driven it sportingly, but I've not been on the edge where that's been an issue at all.
Like the Z06 will break loose.
Yeah, I'm sure this one will, but I think it's pretty in that regard.
What does it have in the rear? Are they 315s or?
Yes, 315. Well, maybe 305s.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Now we'll test test your whether you are second guessing letting me drive this thing or not. Oh, it wants to be at 6,000 RPMs. That's what I love so much about my RS, my GT3, is that it's more comfortable at 7,000 RPMs than it is at 3. This is different. It seems like I feel just as good at 2,000 RPMs as I do at 7.
Yeah, it's got a really.
It's just dynamic, yeah.
I mean, you can lug it if you want to, and it's still fine, or you can scream it, and it likes that too.
Is there PPF on this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's full PPF.
C-Quartz.
Yeah.
C-Quartz finest.
Right. So we're gonna see. We're gonna test it out this week.
Did you have that done in Houston?
Yeah.
Who did it?
A guy named Jason Capello, Capello Auto Salon.
Mm-hmm. I think I know that name.
Really cool guy. I mean, he's got a really good business. And, I mean, just loves cars.
So did you do the whole all painted surfaces?
Yes, he did the whole full PPF wrap.
Is it about $6,000-7,000 to do?
I think the wrap itself, and plus he corrected.
Yeah.
He corrected. I think that alone was about $4,500.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. This is the thing you got to do. Every bridge, there's a prerequisite. You have to do this.
Okay.
That's the rule in the mountains. Come on, minivan, help us out here. You're messing up the best road. The gas and brake pedal are so darn close together. It's crazy. They're like right on top of each other. This is the road where I was doing, like when I'm doing all the Porsche driving.
Oh yeah.
This is the road I went out to that turnaround there and back. Yeah, it is hard to keep this big old baby on the right side of the yellow lines. Yeah, this wouldn't take long for me to get used to. But that brake pedal feel is very different. Yeah, it inspires you to get in or to get on it.
So is the RS a little more nimble in the corners?
Yeah, yeah. This feels a lot bigger than the RS, but the RS's seating position is very different than this car. I'm up much higher, so there's a little different feel where you sit. The steering feels, believe it or not, the steering feels better in this to me.
That's
but obviously the weight difference, I mean, there's like zero weight transfer because the engine's like sitting right behind me, being the mid-engine feel, so I don't feel any transfer like you feel in the RS where you have the engine all the way out back. You have to learn how to manage that. And of course the Z06, the thing's all the way out front. Oh man, that guy has all kinds of places to pull over.
So some complain that
yeah, it's fast.
Some say that the Ferrari steering is too quick, it's too darty.
I like it, but I'm a steering guy. It's always been my bag. The better. Being a Honda guy and kind of Porsche guy, steering has always been I'd always erred on, I'd rather have better steering, a better feel than speed, raw speed. So this tackles all of that, right? It gives us all the above.
So how's the pull of this compared to the Turbo S?
It's hard to tell because the Turbo S there's less emotion than this, right? So the emotion of the engine and the sound. That's a good darn question. You just figure the Turbo S is, well, I guess it's around the same weight. That's a good question. I have to think about that one. So there's a Snowbird. That's the best place to stay other than Highlands. The Highlands would be best for your wife. that would be the best for driving, because you're right here. Look, I mean, you're right in it.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get used to the brakes and how that works. It's very different than anything I've ever felt.
Because I wonder if maybe they're not quite up to snuff. I mean, know if they grab as hard as I think they ought to.
Yeah, carbon ceramics are tricky because I always feel the same way. I think a lot of it has to do with we're more used to that mechanical grit, you know, that grinding feeling you get. But they certainly, I mean, they feel pretty stout.
Yeah, I mean, it'll stop. On the California T, for example, carbon ceramic also, but that pedal has, let's say, a little more feel to it.
Yeah.
In the early part of the travel than this one does.
I'm just amazed at that pull in, you know, 7th gear, I guess 6th gear, that just massive torque, even when we're at 2,700 RPMs, you know, pulling out. I mean, that's incredible. That's what makes it so comfortable to drive every day, if you know, if you were going to.
You mentioned that the Porsche, the only Porsche that I've ever driven, my wife and I, we rented a Cayman.
Yep.
And what was, to me, so obvious was that, man, you had to wind that son of a gun out.
Yeah, that's an acquired taste. See, I've grown up that way with my gutless Hondas, you know.
You follow the power band and it takes you a little while to wind it back up again.
You know, now at GT3 you get a little bit, you know, it's a little better, but to see the thing with this is, I mean, I'm gonna figure the throttle response is still, you know, there's a tiny, you know, as the turbo spool, tiny little bit of lag, but the motors has so much displacement on this anyway that we still get throttle response. That's why turbos are getting so much better, as long as we can fix the sound of them. Yeah. I like how this, like that car does all kinds of weird burbles and all kinds of fake stuff. You know, there's you know, the AMG, the M3, and then there's that, in order to keep the car in boost, there's an overrun where there's a fart dump every time you shift, that this doesn't have that. It's so much better.
Well, my wife just got a new X3, the new generation 18 model. I just, you know, kind of, it has the same thing. It pipes in the sound of the engine, you let off, it farts. It's like all this drama and not really much.
Yeah, and it's all fake, right? This does, I'm sure, in comparison to like a 458, it lives that 4,000 to 6,000 RPM range. It, you know, you tend to live. I find myself living there more than I probably would 5 to 7, or you know, 6 to 8. Dang, I wish we could get a shot at going.
Yeah, for you it'd be interesting to be able to drive a 458 Speciale after driving this.
Yeah.
Experiencing
quite a bit nastier, right?
I think it's different. I think it just depends kind of what your preference would be.
Would you say that's much more, or this is much more daily streetable, comfortable,
but from,
practical?
You know, but from just pure performance, it's you know, it's not lacking anything to Speciale. It's just the emotion probably isn't quite as high. As the Speciale with the, you know, 9,000 RPM national.
So how do you get a Speciale?
Well, you'd have to buy one. I mean, it'd have to be used. They don't make them anymore. Production.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you wanted a new one in the beginning, I mean, do you have to have one of these before you can get one of those? Is that the point?
I think that was the deal. You had to be a 458 owner before you could get an allocation for Speciale. And now, of course, so you've heard the 488 Pista? Have you seen
No.
Well, that they just announced that maybe a couple of months ago. But that's the new. It's the Speciale, you know,
version
of this car.
What about the TDF?
TDF's.
Is that 458 only? Or isn't there a 488 TDF?
No. The TDF was the F12. TDF was a limited edition version of the F12.
I got you. Okay.
So it's also now, you know, it's it's out of production.
Yeah.
But to get one, that was a very limited edition car. That was only like 499 made. So that you had to be somebody special to get a TDF.
All right, I think we got some space. Easy to drive, man. I mean, if I spent a half a day in this, I'd be smooth as silk. I'm gonna drive much less aggressively than I would if it were my car. So we did this. We did a morning run up here in the GT3 group, and it was damp. I want to talk about the scariest experience of my life. Just a little bit damp, where you can see your trails. And which, if you were a race car driver, you wouldn't even break a sweat. But I don't know, every turn I went around, I was cringing because we were on it pretty good. And I was in the middle. It was one of those deals where, and then everybody got down and it was like, well, were you scared? Are you scared? Everybody was like, man, I wish we had backed off.
Yeah, I mean, when it's like slippery or damp, I mean, I have like a psychological version.
I got nothing to prove, Did these ever have, do they have any little quirks or issues or anything like that? Any like drivable issues or any overheating or anything like that? I mean, you can you don't have to worry about driving these around town or anything. I mean, they're pretty much a modern car nowadays. Yeah.
All the things you used to hear about exotics and Ferraris.
Melty panels and stuff.
Yeah, and sticky buttons.
Yeah.
I think they've solved all that. I had my California T for 3 years and
nothing. Let's do a little high RPM and see what it feels like. Front end feels great. Alright, I guess I have to get a Z06 and a 488. At the end of this weekend, hopefully I'll be I want every single car, I won't get any of them.
Well, do you have an interest in a 991.2 RS?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I got the call to get one because I'd like to have one. Just the key with them is just to stay on the front of the curve. Get one, drive it for 5,000 miles, get the next one, drive it for 5,000 miles, get the next one. You never lose anything, and you get to enjoy the whole building and acquiring experience, and it doesn't put you out. It doesn't cost you anything. Whereas I've been on the end of it trying to get one, don't have a relationship with a dealer, and you end up having to try to pay over for it or find a used one, and it just, and then you lose 15 grand because 20 grand because you put a bunch of miles on it because you had it for too long. And usually you put the biggest jerk out front and he just sit there, and the guy with the loudest car and the biggest jerk, and he'll get everybody out of the way. See how wonderful the roads are. Like, there's no potholes. I mean, now this is obviously new, but we'll see how far down the back side of this started to get a little rougher. But I think by now they may have paved the whole thing. But the only problem with the new pavement, it's not as confidence inspiring because that roughness makes you feel like you got better grip, I think. At least it does for me. Yeah, I was really shocked in the Z06. Like, I'd do this, and it was like, it would be like a good beat to pause.
Late reaction.
Yeah, like it's almost unusable. The upshift on this, the downshift is very PDK-like. The upshift is a little bit slower than the GT3.
Yeah, it's, on this one's kind of funny. The upshift, I think, also is dependent a little bit on how you're driving it.
Yeah.
When you're on it, I mean, I think the logic is
yeah,
it makes it a little bit quicker, but when you're off of it, kind of.
And that's part of the talk has always been, you know, the Ferrari's dual clutch, there's a bit more engagement, there's a bit more harshness to it, which makes it feel more like a manual. And so if I go paddles, I'd go neutral. So I go neutral. And then I have to hit it again. Okay, get back in gear. Now in auto mode, is this a lot like other cars where it's overcompensating for fuel economy, where it's like in 7th gear going 25 miles an hour?
It's really annoying.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, it just makes you use the car then, driving manual.
The only time I'll put it in automatic is if I'm just cruising on the interstate, but that's fine.
Because I bet we go, so you hit this to go auto, right? Yeah. So I go auto, 5th, 6th, 7th. Yeah, we're going 43 miles an hour in 7th gear. So what's the delivery experience like on Ferrari? Is it different than other cars?
Well, like, I mean, for me it's different, but I'm not sure about how other...
Like, do they sit you down and take you through a whole process? And
so like the speccing process, yeah, it's unlike anything I've done. And there's different versions of the experience. I mean, you could just sit down with your guy and just go through the book and spec it.
Yeah.
The next step is to use what they call the Atelier service.
Yeah.
Where they have studios. They actually have one in Houston, thankfully. But you go in there and it's really cool because it's a huge, huge screen, and it's just a lot more interaction and immediate visual of what you're doing, and it's much better than like an online.
So how many hours do you think you put into it? Because it's a bit overwhelming with the amount of options, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of research before I even went into that earlier. I mean, I knew this spec was pretty much already in my mind.
Yeah. What color is this called?
It's called Blue Mirabeau.
Blue what?
Blue Mirabeau.
Gotcha.
So are you getting more of an appreciation for your yellow seatbelts?
No. But I don't see them as much anymore. That just goes to show how boring my personality is, that I can't even add a little bit of flair. What are these little buttons I'm feeling back here?
So the left one is just the radio volume.
Ah, okay.
The right one changes station.
I don't know, I just retrace wherever the radio is. It's 2 feet away. But I don't know. Like, I hate it when there's all kinds of buttons all over the darn steering wheel, for radio. That pedal feel is very odd, It's like, okay, am I going to stop? Okay, there it is. You're like, all right, am I going to stop? Am I going to stop? Okay, I got it. These roads are just unexplainable. It's like every time I come up here, when I go home, the drive up and back is the part that makes me not want to come back for a while. But if I could just teleport here, I'd be here every weekend. That's why I think looking into something like Asheville would make a lot of sense. You could fly into, just have a car at some place. Build it so that the garage had even if you were going to rent it, just build a separate little single car where you could lock your car up, or the renters couldn't get to it. So what about attention with this car, with this color? Do you find you get less of it?
I get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
How it compares to a red car, I don't know. I mean, put it this way, I get a lot more attention than I did when I was driving out of California.
Yeah. I notice a massive difference in the amount of attention I get with the RS versus my blue GT3.
Really?
Yeah. Must be the wing. The fenders. And despite the fact of what most people think with me on YouTube, I'm not an attention kind of guy. As you can see me in this event with 60 people, I just want to let everybody else, let Ed do it. see, that's the big life lesson for me, is that like I would have felt like I owed everybody something. Like giving people the opportunity to contribute is what has been the game changer for me. You know, otherwise I'm taking the win from everybody. You know, but letting other people, whether it's moderate or organize or contribute, and it's
definitely made a cohesive group.
Yeah, I mean, how incredible is this? I mean, it's like instant.
Oh yeah, it's like so comfortable. It's like
yeah, you expect it to be awkward and weird, and it's like bang, like I broke my windshield twice on this part of the road. But see, I'm telling you, on this kind of pavement, I feel like I have more grip. Like when the GT3 group, I mean, we are on it. So this is kind of refreshing to relax a little bit. Just enjoy it rather than being at the edge of grip.
I'm hammering, taking a little, you know, not pushing it.
Yeah, it's more enjoyable. It's like, why do I want to stress myself out? That's why I don't enjoy the track very much, because the whole point of it is to go and rag it out. So are these seats an upgrade or a change from normal, or?
Yeah, so these are the racing seats.
Okay, they're super comfortable.
Built straight racing seats. And actually, you know, a lot of people expect 488s and just get the full electric seats, thinking that's better.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, in terms of resale value and what people want, they want these seats.
Well, these are probably 30 pounds lighter.
Yeah, they're carbon fiber in the back.
Is there exposed carbon back there?
Yeah, I'll have to show you.
I'll have to check it out, yeah. Massive power. This is why I like being in the back, because I can give it a gap so I don't get pelted. In the middle, you kind of feel obligated to be up in the, keep it tight. Transition, I'm sure you went through this in life, where I'm the protege, you know, I'm the kid. And I'm making that transition. I'm not the kid anymore, you know. I'm the guy with a little bit of experience. I've been a very, very good mentee for many, many years, you know. Now that I'm in that limbo land of transition from, I'm gonna need people to be able to do what it is, you know, I think I'm doing. And that's an interesting transition. With my parents, it's easy. They're doers. They just do stuff. You know, they get stuff done. I don't have to coach or teach them.
Well, that can be frustrating, trying to be a mentor to somebody who isn't coachable. And when I was at work, I always gravitated to those people that, you know, worked for me that were of the coachable type.
Yeah.
I just found it so much easier to spend my energy on them. I hate the idea of just somebody randomly assign you as a mentor. No, I mean, there's got to be more than just
a natural fit,
yeah,
right?
There's got to be a relationship.
Really odd place to be, and where I'm at with the amount of influence that I have with people in the world now. It's just such a surreal experience. Like, I always knew I was an oddball and had lots of things to offer. And I used to walk around with an arrogance about that, you know. It's only as of the last several years with YouTube and the humbling of me, you know, as a human, it's really opened it up. But now the struggle is, what do I do with that? You know, how do I guess I just keep doing what I'm doing.
You're getting bigger and bigger.
But I don't want to be you know, I want to get it bigger, but I want to stay the same, you know.
So your parents are making the move down soon?
Yep, June 25th.
They have a place to stay?
Well, they're coming to live with us for, you know, but their house is in construction. They just poured the foundation, so I'm actually kind of excited. My parents are really unique people. Like, they're doers. Like, they're gonna come and they're not gonna stop, and they're gonna make my house perfection. You know, the windows will be clean. The weeds. It'll be, you know, they'll be doing everything. It's gonna be amazing.
Volume you have now, again, with the staff you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just your folks helping you ship. You know, I mean, it is amazing. And I mean, your stuff's never late. I mean,
Yeah, as long as we have it, it's out. Yep. Yep. The trick has been the stuff that we don't have. Now that we have so much volume, so many orders, keeping it was easy when you had 12 orders a day. Now we have 100 orders a day, or 75 orders a day, and it starts to build up. And it's not easy to just email everybody that, hey, I saw you ordered it. Sorry, we don't have it. So that now it's a necessity. There's a necessity to transition to a barcoded inventory type system. So here's the carbon back we were talking about. Here's what the interior looks like. Yellow seat belt's my favorite.
You'll learn to like them.
Everybody's holding out hope. So I got more than I bargained for driving the 488 for a good solid hour and a half. I don't know. I think I could find myself becoming a Ferrari guy. So this is on the opposite side in the valley of the, I forget what this is called. I think it's Tellico Plains. I get the names mixed up. But this is the end of the Cherahalla. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.